This is part 3 with Chad going into the weekend rehab.
Going into the weekend. So, Friday morning, it looks like a fucking frat house. And, also what happened during that night is one dude had brought his car back and we convinced him, we ran out of dope and he had never tried it and he wanted to. So we convinced him to give us money and his car so that we could drive like an hour and a half into Birmingham all fucked up on heroin and Xanax to My Connect and pick up. And
Re-up for the weekend?
Yeah, re-up for the weekend. And so he let us do that. We come back, we fix him up his issue, and he's asleep because it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, just save it for the morning. And we're like, okay. And yeah, that was gone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a funny story until Friday happens, because Friday, I guess the owner or whoever, somebody had drove by and seen the mayhem that was all over the yard or all over the property, and so the owner comes in and figures out what's going on and pulls everybody into the office, and it's like, what's going on? Now, meanwhile, since I've been in this program, Georgia has found out that I got arrested on a new charge, right? But they can't come get me because I'm in rehab, right? And so my probation officer's like, she came and checked on me, and she was like, as long as you're there, you're good, and we'll talk about what happens afterward. And so it's kind of important that I don't get kicked out of this place. And so me and the guy that brought the heroin back are given a second chance, right? We owned up to the fact that we got high and we brought drugs back. My roommate, his name is Will, he had been to that treatment center before. He had been through multiple treatment centers before. He had actually came out to California to treatment before, had a trust fund and blew through it, and now he's at this place. And because he distributed the pills to everybody on the property,
So the roommate that
my
went in and
roommate
got your pills?
that got my pills, even though I'm the one that brought them back,
Yeah.
because he gave them out to everybody else that was on property, he got the boot. He got kicked
How'd they
out.
find out that he gave them out to?
Because
Somebody was telling him?
everybody that he gave them to was like telling,
Yeah.
and so he gets the boot.
Yeah.
That's Friday. So Friday, like, we all kind of chill and just kind of like, we're up in the rooms like laughing about everything that happened and not taking the situation seriously at all. Saturday morning rolls around and we go in for breakfast, and the director comes in, big dude named Chip, comes in, his eyes are just all red. And I never forget, he looks dead at me. He said, I want you gentlemen to understand that every action that you have has consequences, even if they may not affect you. They will affect the people around you. And we're like looking at him, like wondering what the fuck this dude's talking about. He's like, I just wanted to let you guys know, Will got kicked out of here yesterday, and he didn't have anywhere to go. And so he went to the dope man and he got high. And he overdosed and he died last night in his car alone. The doctor says that he just went to sleep. It wasn't the amount of heroin that he did. It was the fact that he had taken so much Xanax the night before that once he took the heroin, it just like lowered his blood pressure so much that like he just went to sleep and didn't wake up. That was really like eye-opening for me. Didn't get me sober. Wasn't enough to like to get me sober, but it was enough for me to realize, like, if I'm gonna get high, if I'm gonna do shit, like, I'm not gonna involve other people in it. So any future treatment experience after that, I never brought drugs back into the treatment center or the sober living or anything.
Yeah.
Like if I was gonna get high, I just left. You know, that was in my drug addict mind, that was my way of like paying it forward.
Yeah.
You know, like no one else was gonna have that same situation happen because I was selfish and wanted to get high in rehab.
Yeah.
So I finished the program and or I convinced my parents to let me leave after like fucking a little while after that. Like they're taking us to church and like having people come and like fucking heal, you know, and like trying to like just knock
The demons out of you.
demon out of us or whatever. And so I leave. I go report to probation, thinking everything's going to be good. They tell me that I have to go to this county-funded program in Birmingham. In order to get into that program, like I had to go to this homeless shelter in Birmingham and stay there until a bed opened up. So I did that, and this is probably one of the dirtiest, nastiest places I ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Bed bugs everywhere. Like I remember in one of the bathrooms, like the light didn't work. The ceiling was caved in, and there was like water like pouring through the ceiling, like right beside the shower, and like I don't see how the building wasn't condemned.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, but it was like a homeless shelter, so the city didn't really give a fuck, you know. And so I was there. I went to this 30-day county-funded program. I get high while I'm in the fucking homeless shelter. Like you stay there at night, and then you leave, and during the day you just do whatever you want to, and like. Again, like I always thought I wouldn't be that homeless guy, and now I'm living at a homeless shelter, but in my mind, like I've convinced myself that I'm not actually homeless.
Yeah.
You know, because like I can go back to my parents' house whenever I do good. And so I go to this county-funded place. It's 30 days. I convince my therapist after 22 days that I'm good and I got this, and he gives me my letter of completion, and I leave. Immediately start getting high with everybody that I met in rehab, because we all got out about the same time. Go report to probation, pissed dirty. They lock me up, and they're like, oh, by the way, Georgia's coming to get you. Mm-hmm. So I get extradited to Georgia. This time I'm out there like 9 months in Georgia. Like I said, it's sweet, dude. Like the first... Like pretty much like 7 months, 8 months of the time I was there, I had my own cell.
Yeah.
Like day room, like there's cigarettes. It's chill, you know. And when I first got there, it was like Camp Snoopy, because it was a bunch of like white kids who all had store, and like nobody had ever really been to prison, and and so it was just like, hey, you want to make spreads or burritos tonight, or you bring the cigarettes, you know. And it was like cool. And then, like, about halfway through, they start bringing in all these dudes that have been to prison, right? And they're older cats. They're not getting no money. You know what I'm saying? And, like, the rules out in the South versus the rules in California are very different. You know, in Alabama and in Georgia, like, people steal shit. And that's like a hustle when you're in there.
Just coming up.
Yeah. You know, in California,
You ain't doing that.
they don't do that out here. You know? So these convicts come in and they see these dudes getting they see these dudes getting tobacco under the door, and it was mostly black dudes. And they see these little white kids getting their shit, and so they would see them get their shit, and then when the deputies would pop the door, they would go into the cell like 5 deep, and they would be like, give it up.
Just strong arm.
And these kids were like giving them their commissary, giving them their tobacco, and then they would ride a little kite to the deputy, and they would move to a different pod. Yeah. You know, and I'm like watching this going on, nobody's doing anything, and I'm just like, all right. You know, I'm a fucking dope fiend at this point,
Yeah.
you know. So I'm like 120, 125 pounds.
Hmm.
You know, maybe I've hit 130 because I've been in there for like 3 or 4 months. And so I'll never forget. I got court on Monday. It's Friday. My girl had just put some money on my guy's books. He comes back in from work. You know, I flash him the sign language. He tells me he sees the money, that he's going to send it over. He sends the tobacco over, and I see the group of guys watch me scoop my tobacco, and I see him talking, and I know
What time it is?
when they pop the doors at 8 o'clock tonight, it's game time. So I go, we're in a 2-hour, but after dinner they have like a little 2-hour lockdown where you're in your cell for count. And then they let you back out at 8 at night. So I go up to my cell, lock it down, and I know what's coming, so I break my tobacco in half. Right, I break it into 2 pouches. I hide one of them like in my sock where it's really easy to find. The other one I like stash. You guys know what that means. So sure enough, 8 o'clock comes, the door pops, and I'm like sitting on my rack. The door pops, swings open. There's 6 of them that just come into my cell, and never forget this big, like 6'3", 6'4", like 200 something pound, like 50-year-old dude comes in, and he was like, Bama, go ahead and give it up. And I just looked at him, I said, oh gee, it ain't going down that way. And I remember him saying, man, just give it up, don't make us do this. And I just swung at him, dude. I didn't know what else to do. So I just swung at him, and he fucking laid me out and threw me onto the rack in between the 2 racks up against the wall, and they just fucking tore my ass up, dude. And in the process of tearing me up, they were like patting me down. They found the tobacco in my sock, and they left. They thought they had got it all. And again, I don't have a cellie. I don't know like all these rules. I just like got a general idea from like spending a little time in county and fucking watching lockup and like, but I'm like, yo, my eye is swollen shut. I'm fucking bleeding. Like, if I go out into this day room, everybody's gonna know what happened. Yeah. COs are gonna know, and it's just gonna be trouble for everybody. So I pull my door back closed, and I go roll up on my rack with my back to the door, so when the CO comes and does the count, they can't see that I'm all busted up. After he does the count, I like clean myself up as best I can, and in Georgia, if you don't come out in the morning before breakfast, you have to stay locked down for 24 hours until the next day's breakfast, right? So the next morning, my eye is now completely fucking swelled up. My face is all black and blue and purple and shit, and I'm like, well, I can't come out today. So I stay in, and they pop the doors after lunch, and the OG that had beat my ass, that led the crew, he came up to my door and he was like, you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. He's like, you not leaving the dorm? And I said, no, man. I said, I've been here fucking 5 months. Like, this is my fucking house. I've been here longer than all you guys. And we can do this shit every Friday if you guys want to do it. But, like, you're not fucking running me out of this dorm. And he was like, all right, I'll be right back. And I'm like, fuck, dude, me and my big fucking mouth, you know? He comes back, he shoots me a soup under the door, he shoots me a honey bun under the door, and he shoots me a couple cigarettes. He was like, I appreciate you not coming out and putting the tier on blast. And I just want to let you know, I know you can't eat while you're stuck in your cell, so I just want to let you know, like, we're going to feed you until you can come out of the cell. And so dude was cool. He would bring me fucking food, commissary every day so I could eat. And and I ended up staying on myself for like 4 or 5 days. But I had to go to court Monday, so I go to court, and my girl's in there. I come in all shackled up, my eyes all fucking swollen and black and blue. She immediately starts crying in the fucking thing, and the judge just started laughing at me and said, "Long weekend?" I said, "Yeah," you know, and I'm thinking I'm going to prison. So fast forward, my next court date, we go into court, and I owed the state of Georgia like $5,000 in like probation fees, and like another $5,000 in like miscellaneous fees for testing and monitoring and all this shit. So it's like $10,000 that I owed, right? And the judge calls me in there. They call me up, and the judge is like, "You know what, Mr. Chapman?" He said, "I can't figure out what to do with you." He's like, "So I'm going to give you the deal of a lifetime today." And I'm like, "All right." He was like, "The $10,000 that you owe the state of Georgia," he's like, "it's gone." He was like, the 7 years worth of prison time that you owe me, it's gone. Your probation time that you owe us is gone, right? Any obligation you have whatsoever to the state of Georgia, I am willing to wipe out today.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, this sounds really good, you know, like, what's the catch?
Yeah.
He was like, the 7 years that you're supposed to do in prison, he was like, you're not allowed back into the state of Georgia for 7 years. And I'm like stoked. I don't live in Georgia. I got some family there, but I don't even have to go see them. They don't want me around anyways.
Yeah.
You know, my lawyer's like, "Don't take this deal. This is fucking retarded. If you take it and you come back and they catch you in Georgia,
You're done.
you're done."
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, "I don't care if you get a speeding ticket, if you like step 1 foot over the state line and I find out about it, like, I will make sure you don't get out of jail."
Yeah.
And so I took the deal and left, and I didn't go back to Georgia for 7 years.
Yeah.
But so I get out now, like, my parents don't know what to do with me. Like, sometimes they're letting me stay at their house, sometimes they're not. The girl I was seeing was staying with her dad, and he had a trailer, and he worked the night shift, so she would let me sneak in her window at night and like hang out with her. And then if I didn't have anywhere to go during the daytime, she would put me in this closet, which was like not even as long as this couch, and I would just have to stay in this fucking closet
All day?
all day while her dad was home. You know, and that went on.
You'd stay in there all day?
Yeah, dude, I would have dope, you know, I would just fucking do an issue and fucking pass out, and then I'd wake up and do an issue.
Have your phone?
Yeah, I had my phone, so I would text her when I needed to smoke a cigarette, and she would come back into her room and like smoke a cigarette out the window with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like whatever. And so like after like a month of that, I was like, yo, like I can't.
Can't be living in this closet. No
Yeah,
more.
I'm done with the closet.
I'm coming out of the closet.
Yeah, I'm coming out strong. So she had been to, while I was locked up in Georgia, she had been to rehab out here in California, Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I know some people in California, they're sober and they'll like help us.
Don't do it.
She's like, that's where people go to get sober. It's California, you know? And it's like, I'm from Alabama, and it's like sunny Southern California. Like, I'm gonna go change my fucking life.
Be on the beach.
Yeah, living right by the beach. Like this is gonna be everything I need in life. So we rob her dad. We clean out her dad's bank account somehow.
How much you get?
Like a few $1,000s,
Yeah.
like his checking account, not his savings account. But we rob her dad. We completely clean out his bank account. We go buy a 1/4 ounce of heroin and a 1/4 ounce of cocaine, and we load everything up in her car, and we start driving across the country, going to fucking California to get sober.
Driving from Bama?
From Birmingham, yeah. So
Slamming dope the whole way?
just doing speedballs the whole way.
Speedballs?
Speedballs, or if I'm like peaking, I would have her hit me with a shot of heroin, so I'd calm down. And then when I start nodding, she'd hit me with the other.
Yeah.
Like, we hopped on the road at like 9 o'clock on Friday night, and we drove from from 9 o'clock Friday night until 1 o'clock Saturday morning, we had made it to like Albuquerque.
Yeah.
It was like 27, 28 hours.
No stop.
Non-stop. Just for gas. And like she's doing a shot and going to sleep. And I'm just fucking gacked. Just fucking.
Dude, see, I used to drive around and do speedballs, dude, and I can go above the speed limit. Like, I was probably going 10 miles an hour less, because I'd be so paranoid, dude. I would think, like, somebody was behind the back seat. Like, I was instant paranoia when I do a speedball. I don't know how people, function. I can't be around nobody when I'm speedballing. You know, I'm locked up in a hotel room somewhere safe.
I at that point, dude, like I've got all these. I'm on probation in Alabama. Like I've got so much shit. I'm just.
I mean, other people can do it and like be around people. Amen.
Yeah. But so we make it. We stop in Albuquerque or this side of Albuquerque, and I'm like, yo, I need to get a little bit of sleep. So we get a hotel room. Get up the next morning, start driving again. We get to California at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon to Costa Mesa, and
And she had some people out here, you said?
yeah, she was out here. She had like 9 months sober. Like the whole time I was locked up for those 9 months. The whole time she is out here doing good, and she.
So then you got out and she came back to Alabama?
So she got out, or no, I got out. And I get out and like I'm been in contact with her. She's writing me letters and she's taking my phone calls and putting money on the books and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I get out and I call her and I'm like, "Yo, it's time." And she's like, "Okay." So she buys me a Greyhound ticket. California from Birmingham. So I spend like 3 days on the bus.
Wait, so...
But this is before...
Okay.
This is before we drive out. So she's out here. She's doing good. She's in sober living.
Yeah.
She's like house manager. I'm telling her I'm sober.
Yeah.
Right? She buys me a bus ticket. I'm not sober. I got a bunch of dope. I do it on the whole way, 3 days on the bus ride out here. Right? I get here and she tries to give me a piss cup to see if I'm clean.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, get that shit out of here.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, come on, let's go. And she just like packs her shit up from the sober living into the back of her car, and I'm like, we're going back home. You know, you're my road dog, you're like coming with me. And she was like, okay. And I'll never forget, we drove away from the sober living, and I'm like, yo, if I drive all the way out here to Cal, I was like, if you're gonna relapse, we should do it now, because I want to know what the dope in California is like.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was gonna be like way better than our dope.
Yeah.
Not true. So we go to Santa Ana like 5 minutes after we leave the sober living in Costa Mesa, and we go to this like 7-Eleven in Santa Ana.
How'd you guys know to go to Santa Ana?
So, because she had said that in meetings she heard people talking about Santa Ana, right?
Santa Ana.
So we go down there, and I find a homeless dude down there named Spider, and he hooks it up, you know, and so we drive back getting high the whole time, and that's when like the fucking wheels fall off, right? So now I've already gotten released when I got extradited from Georgia. I finished rehab, got kicked out, whatever. Now, like, I have nowhere to go. Parents aren't having me. Probation is, like, wondering where the fuck I'm at. I'm, like, sleeping in the closet. So now we decide to go out there. So we drive out here, and
So you show back up out here after you
bounced out.
jacked her from the sober living.
Yeah, I'm sure all of her friends, like, told her,
Stay away
from this dude.
Yeah.
You know?
I would have.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. You would have told her.
Yeah, I would have told her. I was definitely a bad dude at this point. And so we show up. Her friends get her into some like cushy ass detox, you know. I find like a low bottom indigent sober living that's willing to take me and let me kick dope on the couch.
Yeah.
So I do that. She's in detox for like 2 weeks, medical detox. Gets out and we start getting high again.
Right on the gate.
Yeah. And so we leave sober living to go to this couple sober living that we found. And
Because you can't get sober by yourself.
right, we have to be
You're a
together.
package deal.
Yeah, exactly. It's So we go to this couple sober living, and we're getting high there. They find out, they kick us out. Then we rent this room in Santa Ana, just some room we found on Craigslist from this couple, and where we're living at this place and paying the rent and working, and it's like our drug habit is like too much to be paying this rent. So one day we're dope sick in the house and they're not home, and April finds like this stash of money that they have hidden in the house, like a few $1,000. And you know, being a good drug addicts that we are, like, she's like, what do we do? And I'm like, well, we gotta take some of it, we're sick, you know? So we get well, and then we keep taking, and ends up, we spend all the money, they figure out it's missing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We blame it on the maid or the housekeeper or some shit who's been working there for years and never stole anything, you know what I'm saying? More like it's her. They kick us out. And now we're like sleeping in our car in Orange County, you know, getting high. And then I get arrested in Orange County, California.
And that's going to conclude part 3.
Yeah.
We'll pick up Orange County, California jail in part 4.